viewers. Japan's Defense Minister Shinjiro Koizumi and his Australian counterpart Richard Marles have met earlier today in Tokyo and have agreed upon deepening their security cooperation amid China's increasingly aggressive actions in the East and South China Seas. At the meeting, the Japanese Defense Minister has confirmed about both nations making progress towards concluding a contract by the end of this fiscal year, that is, through next March. Now, the contract revolves around Australian Navy's plan to introduce an upgraded version of the Japanese Maritime Self-Defense Forces Mogami-class frigate into their fleet, which is a versatile warship sailing vessel. Additionally, the Japanese Defense Minister has also talked about yesterday's incident where a Chinese military aircraft logged radar onto their Air SDF fighter jets, disturbing peace in the region. Let's now listen into the comments made by the defense ministers during the meeting.
中国によって行われましたレーダー照射2回、これにつきましては、このような行動は航空機の安全な飛行に必要な範囲を超える危険な行為であって、中国側には強く抗議し、再発防止を厳重に申し上げます。
Simply say that we do not want to see any change to the status quo across the Taiwan Straits. In general terms, Minister Koizumi and I spoke about the way in which Australia and Japan can work together to assert the rules-based order and provide for the peace and stability of the Indo-Pacific.
And joining us now is Dr. Bonnie Yushi Liao, who is Assistant Professor of Diplomacy and International Relations at Tamkang University in Taiwan. Thank you, Professor, for joining us here at NewsX World. We really appreciate you giving us your time. I'd like to start by asking my first question to you. How do you think Australian support to Japan is going to help it counter China?
Japan and Australia are essentially running a dual-track strategy. China is still a major economic partner. Japan depends on China as a manufacturing base, and Australia continues to rely on Chinese demand for resources. So neither country can afford a clean break. At the same time, they both have experienced direct pressure from Beijing, whether it's maritime coercion around the Senkakus or punitive trade measures against Australian exports. So that's why we see them strengthening defense cooperation and building joint exercises and improving intelligence sharing, not as a move toward confrontation, but as risk insurance. So the balance looks like engagement without naivety. Both countries seek deterrence while keeping trade doors open, and they diversify supply chains so economic stability doesn't become strategic vulnerability.
Dr. Liao, do you assess that it is likely for Japan to reach out to other members of the Quad other than the United States as China is carrying out its military exercises now in the Yellow Sea?
You mean like within the broader U.S.-led security architecture?
No, within the Quad.
Oh, within the Quad. Okay. It fits as one of the central support beams. The United States remains the main security guarantor, but the architecture is becoming more multi-centered rather than hierarchical. Japan and Australia are no longer followers of U.S. strategy. They are co-creators of frameworks like the Quad, AUKUS collaboration channels, and trilateral exercises with the U.S. and some other regional partners. So in this sense, Washington does not have to carry Indo-Pacific alone. A more capable Japan and a more forward-leaning Australia distribute deterrence, share burdens, and give smaller regional states more diplomatic room. So this is not purely a U.S. system. It's becoming a networked security ecosystem with Japan and Australia acting as anchors that help sustain stability with even when the Americans' attention fluctuates. So in short, Japan and Australia are not aiming to contain China. They're building stability through shared deterrence, diversified risk, and a more networked Indo-Pacific order.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Liao, for joining us here at NewsX World. I'm running short of time, but I'll have taken some more from you. And with that, viewers, let's move on to developments coming in from Hong Kong, which is voting under Beijing's Patriots rules as for its latest Legislative Council election. The government has pushed hard for a higher turnout, but the effort has been overshadowed by the city's deadliest fire in decades, which has killed 159 people. Turnout by midday reached just over 10%, slightly higher than at the same point in the last poll. Chief Executive John Lee urged residents to vote, saying each ballot supports reform and those affected by the disaster. The election takes place with major pro-democracy parties absent and newcomers, including Olympic fencing champion Vivian Kong, entering the race. That's all we have time for. Keep watching NewsX World for more international news updates.